All right, you groovy grasshoppers. It is Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. This is going out throughout the multi-million universes that are out there. Oh man. So the Rangers played last night. We'll discuss that. Not a great performance by them, but that's one game. Um, so they'll get it going again. I was just looking. I forgot the season 46 of Survivor ended last night. I didn't. I haven't watched much of it since I was on, but it's. I forgot they reduced it to 26 days. When I was out there, it was 39 days. You had to stay out there to win. It's done 26 now. So very interesting stuff. I guess some beauty woman or beauty like a hair salon person from born and raised in Michigan won it. So that's probably she probably is on the show because she knew I went to Northern Michigan, so she wanted to be on. Okay, so I sent out a bunch of not a bunch. I posted two videos of. One of a bidet. Ron Jameson, you magical creature. How are you? Lorraine, how you doing? Good to see you again. Uh, um, so I sent a. I think we're changing the world seriously with all the bidet talk and everything. That's right, Ron. They did not score, and they really were just. You tell it was just a flat game. So like that first goal that Kachuk scored. A lot of people are pointing the finger at Shesterkin, and normally he would get that, but that's a tougher save than you'd think because you can see it was kind of indicative of the way the night went for the Rangers. They had Lindgren and Fox were on the ice playing defense, and it took the back checkers really took a while to come back, and that's a big part. It's all six guys on the ice when the goals usually when a goal is scored against you, and the back checkers were late getting back. So Lindgren and Fox had to back in, thinking it was a 3-on-2, where ideally you'd like to take make contact with the forward carrying the puck at the blue line. They backed into the top of the circles there, and Kachuk was smart. So now, like Fox and Lindgren are standing still. So now it's much easier for the forward attacking now to make a move, or he could shoot through Fox like he did last night, and then he screened the goaltender. So, but again, Shesterkin typically because of who he is, you think he get it, but that's a smart play by Kachuk. And again, it's hard to blame like one person. I think it was just like indicative of the way things went. Last night for them, they've got to move their feet. They've got to use their skating ability, both offensively and defensively. Yeah. So picture bidet, no more two-ply. My buddy Tom Smith that produces Full Change podcast. He's funny. I like giving him a hard time because he's so into the bidet. He loves it. So he calls it a life-changing experience. So he thinks to squirt cold water up his butt, and he thinks that's life-changing. So. But we won't judge. Everybody does their own thing. So again, that's Full Change podcast. We've had some great. We just finished our 100th episode. We've had some great guests on, guys that are really surprising to me, like Ryan Vandenbush. Or they didn't know him, didn't know at all. And that's kind of what we do with the show now too. Is we don't. Tom does some background checking, but I like it better when I don't know their person at all, and then we get to know them on the show. So, and that was the case with Ryan Vandenbush. Really, we talked a lot about his fighting. If you watch his fights, he's an animal. But then late in the show, we start talking about his involvement in cannabis and psilocybins, and he's created his own company up in Canada. Really interesting guy. Really, I like when the guys have they get out of hockey, then they create something different for themselves, something different in their life. So. Jessica Danahy, how are you? Deb, the book is done. I've got to get going on this. Deb has done a fantastic job of finishing off the book. I just need to we got to open up an Amazon account. That's on me. Let me see here. It'll be a good series. Go Rangers. Yeah, it should be a good series. The Rangers got to get going, obviously. If they play, and it's one game, so you don't want to go into panic mode, but they've got to play better. They've shown, especially against Carolina. Carolina was a very good hockey team. That the Rangers game is they've got to be moving the feet, and that's both ways, offensively and defensively. Like I said, that first goal was an indication. And again, I know people are pointing at Shesterkin, but that was all six guys on the ice, really. Forwards coming back checking. Again, they were late getting back. So now that forces the defenseman to now they think they're playing a 3-on-2, so they back in more than they should. But that's again that happens. That's the game. Like there's always mistakes out there. If there's no mistakes were made, it'd be boring hockey because nothing would happen. So that's it's one game. They've practiced. They know how good they can be. The Rangers do. So this obviously got you going. I swear, is it because we talked about it more or whatever? Now all of a sudden we're seeing all these videos of toilets and everything. The whole bidet thing really still amazes me. I can't see. It's making more of a mess. That little thing squirting out there, it was like shooting across the room. You got to come back with the wet vac after you're done to clean up the mess it's made. Yeah, exactly. We knew this is Florida's a heck of a hockey team, man. They're physical. They like to stir the pot out there. Yeah, the whole Rempe thing. Here's to me. I know Mark Messier. Who else? Sean Avery came out and said they want Rempe in the lineup, and I know why they do, especially if the Garden really gets the Garden going and everything. But again, if you're only going to play him 4 or 5 minutes, how much can he really do? Right? So now you're taking a spot. Like there's only 12 forwards to play. So now you're taking up a spot that somebody else could be contributing more. Now, but again, maybe they should play him more then. He looked like he could skate and everything, but he's still young. So 23 with Rempe in the lineup. So Anthony Carlucci tells us we're 20-3 with Rempe in the lineup. Yeah, and I hear you, but I wouldn't say that's all because of him. I like him. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want to see them. The expectation is you put Rempe in the lineup and the game's going to change. Listen, these guys, the Rangers, if they have to be pushed to by Rempe to get going, then they don't. I mean, they've shown how they can play. They don't need one guy to do it. And I'm all for Rempe too. I like the way he plays. But again, if you're going to get a guy that's only going to play 4 or 5 minutes in a playoff game against a high-powered, like Florida really cranks it up, you got to be skating all the time. That was the thing with the Rangers last night. I didn't think they were moving their feet enough. So if you're going to go with basically, play or put Rempe in the lineup and then only use it for 4 or 5 minutes, that means the other 11 forwards, are doing a lot of work. Let me see. They know what they're doing. Lavallette's won cups before. He's got a good pulse on the team. So, Jack Smith. Good morning, Tom. I say blew it, not just anything. Still, I hear. That's a great comparison, Jack. Good job. I just what coaches again, what they think is okay. If I'm only going to play in 4 or 5 minutes, I need all 12 of my forwards going for more than that. Now, and I've heard a lot of people say that about Nicky not being in the lineup against Montreal. Again, Montreal was a fighting team, so back then, especially with Nicky, you thought, okay, well, that's his role. But I don't think, all due respect to Nicky, he's a great friend, great teammate. Was Bob Gainey going to play differently because Nick Fotiu was in the lineup? I don't think so. But they did win. The Rangers did win, so you can point to that as one of the reasons. But is it true that you, Larry Consi, are appearing in the Ranger fan zone tomorrow night? I also have a higher referee for No. Tom asks Duguay Gresham only if they agree with me that Fotiu should have been. I have heard them say that in the past, so I know already that. Yeah, I think it's more. They just question like why would you change it? Because he was in the lineup before that, so why not put him in? And again, I think the theory is, and you know what, Jack brings up a great point. The more I think about it, a great comparison where Montreal is a running gun team too fast. So you need guys if you're going to only go with basically 11 forwards because you're sitting on the bench that long. You're running the risk that those guys run out of gas. I know it's only one player, but it's. Playoff games against a team like Florida that's fast, the team like Montreal back then that was fast. You got to make sure you've got enough guys going. But it'd be interesting if you Rempe in. Again, he's got to be careful too. He is a target as much as referees are human beings. They know who he is. They know his reputation. So anything he does that goes remotely gets dirty in their eyes, then he's going to get a penalty, and that's going to cost the Rangers. So I love the kid. I think he's very valuable. He'll get better and better. Again, he's only 21, I think. So let me see here. I felt like Florida took a play out of Jacques Lemaire. Yes. Again, and see, the Rangers can do the same thing. Florida used their speed not only offensively but defensively, right? Coming back checking. That way, when the forwards are coming back checking, the defenseman can stand up and hold the blue line. Now that really forces the other team offensively now to make decisions, either dump it in or if they try to carry it across the blue line and make some moves. Now you run the risk of going offside. So there's a whole again when you're playing defensively. I'm glad we're talking about this. When we're playing defensively, it's so all the guys on ice, including the goaltender. Right, so those forwards, the defensemen have to know that the forwards are coming back, picking up the wingers. Then the defenseman can stand up at the blue line. Now you're forcing the team to do something they don't want to do. That didn't happen last night, especially on that first goal. That was if you watch that play, it was I was at first when I watched it, I was critical of Fox and Lindgren more in particular because they didn't hold the blue line. But then when you look at it, you can see what they were thinking, that there was 3 guys coming on them, and the back checker was not back yet. He ultimately got back there, but by that time, Lindgren and Fox were already backed up to the top of the circles and standing still. So, but again, smart play by Tkachuk to see all that and make a good play. So, what do we got here? I agree. Hey there, William Haynes. How are you doing, brother? Magic veteran. I agree, Jack, and only just Nicky from one game at the Flames versus Montreal. Yeah. Again, I hear what you guys are saying. That you say it hurt the team, but if if it was in, would it have changed things? Again, those role players, especially back then, and the same with Rempe now. How much do they really help the team when they're playing 4 or 5 minutes? And it could be a lot, especially the guard. If Rempe goes out there and runs some people and gets the crowd going. But then the rest of the team really has to follow through with that. They just did not have it last night. They've proven that they've got it. It's just it wasn't there last night for them, which happens. You hate to see it happen in the playoffs because that's one game down, in a potentially best of 7. So I wrote Larry Brooks for the other day that I'm tired of the Rangers playing reckless the puck. We'll have so many shots on goal. We had to tighten up our own zone. That has, but that is the National Hockey League now. The real strong defensive play. It's different. So when we played, it was blocking shots, hitting, clearing out the front of the net, playing defense in our own zone. Now the best defense that you have in the National Hockey League is getting the puck out of your zone. So that's why players like Fox are so valuable. He may not have been as effective back when we played because it was much more as a physical game in your own zone, you're banging bodies. But he's a fantastic player now because he gets the puck out of his zone so well. So that's just a different game. But it's I hear you if you're a Ranger fan, you watch the Rangers, you say, well, they're giving up too many chances in defensive zone. But that's really, I think throughout the league, that's really the way the NHL is played now. Again, the idea is instead of playing in your own zone, it's play in the other team's zone, and then you don't have to. That's the best defense. So, let's see. Yep. So that we're kind of agreeing, I think, a little bit there that it's that defense is getting the puck out of your own zone. But I mean, you go back to the last game there against Carolina when Shesterkin made that big save late in the game off the face-off. That's that has been the Rangers for years now. Even when Gerard Gallant came first, it was there. That was more of the team. That was okay. We got a world-class goaltender in net, so let's go. You don't want to make defensive mistakes, but they do so. Let me see. Yeah, actually, Knicks played a great game. Won and had an assist and was injured. It wasn't that Johnson did. Oh, okay. I see. I didn't remember that. Let me see. I believe in zero times on goal crease and goalie interference team stretching the row. Yeah, you're right. It's a common practice in the National Hockey League. If you're playing against a great goaltender. It's funny again going back and watching our games in LA in particular. Mario Lessard was playing fantastic. So this is 80-81 playoffs, and so it's funny watching it because Gresh is dangling, he's smooth, and Carol Vadnais is smooth, Dave Maloney's smooth, and then I get the puck and I went and just ran right over Lessard and dude's got a goal and rebound. So it's always been common practice. I think they're doing a better job now. Actually, it was interesting seeing Pete DeBoer I can't remember the Florida coach Stoffel. I forget his name. He after the game, he said, no, they're right. There should be zero tolerance, and our guy banked into the goaltender. So it's kind of cool the way he said that. What is the coach's name? It's not Pete DeBoer. DeBoer's in Vegas, right? It's awful. I know those guys well too. They were coaching when I was in the agent business, really getting going. I was living in Michigan, and they were coaching the Detroit junior team there, both of them together. So it's pretty cool. Let me see. Rangers to 6. Yeah, I would say that's pretty good. It'll be interesting to see how Dallas does against the great Edmonton Oilers offense. And again, the problem for Edmonton is going to be their goaltending, right? It depends if that holds up, then they got a chance of winning. But Winnipeg, Vancouver's a good team too, and obviously Edmonton beat them. So, how was that video with some of the toilets? Oh, I thought the funniest one was when they cut the hole in the bed there. Or is it there's double decker toilets? Who thinks of that stuff? Like, and puts it all together too. Like, they have obviously put some time into that. Maybe it's not, like they're all watching this show and they're thinking, geez, they want to be part of it. So what do we, hold on, let me answer a couple questions. Tom or possible note from stock. 1,000 June 10th, then I increased it by Ranger Angers. Help my dividend. Gotta stay. Okay, that's the way. I like that, Jack. You find the positive. Yeah, find the positive. No, suspended for games. I did not know he was hurt. No. Yeah, the seesaw's good too. Yeah, that's right. Oh God, the guy commentator is pretty funny too. Yeah. Oh man, that's funny stuff. So how? Because we weren't seeing videos like that before. And all of a sudden we're talking about toilets and bidets, and there's all these videos. I guess there's some algorithm or something. How about the big thumb? Where's the thumb? Does the thumb come up? So you get this thing where you put your thumb up, and then this Deb would research why it's happening, but it's like there's something you put your thumb up and some program in StreamYard that we use. Yeah, the seesaw. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Where's Ron Jameson here? These other teams need to get some hockey girls behind the net. I like Dallas. Well, you go to places like I think the Rangers are one of the few teams that does not have women out on the ice with the like the Blue Crew. They've got something like, but I should say there are women on the ice, but they're all dressed in sweatsuits and everything. A lot of places, like you go to LA, it's quite a show. Yeah, they get the tight little outfits on. Oh yes, that Jessica. Thanks for bringing it up. I'm going to call him actually too. Thank you very much, Jessica. Sam Rose. Apparently he was dizzy. So they're saying that he's healthy, but they're just doing some checkups on him to see how he's doing. So great, man. What a fan! I'm glad you brought that up, Jessica. I am going to call him after the show. Tell him everybody's asking for him. It means a lot to him. He really is. He is really a good person. Like what you see when you meet him. Love and life. And I know I've talked about this before. Every time I see him, I said, "You gonna do it forever?" And he just laughs. He says, "Yep, I'm never quitting." And, so I hope he's doing okay. Again, he's got to be in the 70s, right? So aim to please. So please, please aim. Okay, here. What do we got? A urinal joke. My sister would rage in her home with my aim. Sorry, sister. Poor women, right? Guys don't care. Peeing on the toilet. Behind the coach's bench, Tommy. Yeah. Yes, Barry. John, Ron, thank you very much for mentioning this too. Barry's getting what kind of surgery again? I can't remember. Poor guy, man. He's been through some stuff. He's lost his mother, his son, Mark Pavley's situation. He had the prostate surgery that dragged on forever. Now he's going to have surgery again. He's got to be this is very possible. He got to be a strong guy too to go through all that stuff. And Barry is. So I do remember seeing him. It was, you have a vision of somebody from like 30, 40 years ago when you played against him. But Barry was always this big guy, right? Commanding presence. And then I remember he walked into the golf tournament 2 years ago there, Westchester Country Club Ranger golf tournament. And, he'd been through so much and he had a hard time walking and everything. So it was, it was sad to see him go through it. But again, he's a strong guy. He's fighting through things. So let me see. Yeah. If you sprinkle when you tinkle, be a sweetie, wipe the seedy. Nice, Deb. Oh, it's starting to get a storm here. In Greenwich, Connecticut. The same potential hail. Have a great holiday weekend, everyone. Remember, our fallen veterans, my trainers ready to take care. Yes, thanks, William. Thank you for your service, and you're part of the people we're remembering. So that's right, Memorial Day weekend. Have a great trip, you magical veteran conductor. All right, what do you got here? Thanks, Tom. Please send him best wishes from us. He's awesome. Yeah, he really is. He's a strong man, like physically and mentally. He's a strong man. Good guy. That's great memories with him. Man, we had some fun times together. You know what? He was one of those guys, like the hockey world, typically most guys all do the same thing, right? Talk the same way, wear the same kind of clothes. And he was one of those rare guys that had no problem doing something different. And he was always looked like, man, he's weird. He wasn't weird. He's stronger than the rest of us. He was ready to do something different. I know I've told the story before. I don't know why I think it's so funny, but, we do this thing like we were supposed to be the big hitters on the team and everything. Obviously, Barry's at different level than I was, but so we do things during the warm up where we'd pretend we're going to run each other, bump into each other, One time he came at me, and I thought he was coming pretty hard, so I really braced myself. And he wasn't ready for it. So I'm not trying to tell you that but I knocked him down, and we were dying laughing. It was warm ups, and we were going around. We were trying to get the team going. And everything. Oh God, he was funny, man. Let me see here. Kidney surgery. Thank you, Jessica. Yes, kidney surgery. Oh, we are getting a storm here. Start a storm. Sam Rose's best moment against Buffalo. Ty Domi had a goal, a bad fight, and a few great hits. Sam goes, "Wow, John. Ty Domi had a career night. JD lost it." I just see JD listening too. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Those guys were great together on TV. JD and Sam. Oh, both so good at their job. You know, it was interesting. We did the podcast with Sam, and he's such a professional. You know. And he was really interesting how he talked about how when JD left and went to Hockey Night Canada, when he came back to MSG, how his work ethic and preparation, everything really taken off. And it really showed Sam that he could do more. I thought that was really cool when Sam acknowledged that. A lot of guys, you know, it's a pride thing. You don't want to, you know, when you're professional like he is. But I think that's part of Sam. He's willing to acknowledge that he could always get better at things and he learned from other people. So Johnny Red. Who's Johnny Red? I want to know when the Rangers will retire. Yeah, that's a tough one because it's just the problem. Part of the problem is that you know all the people that were there when Ron was playing, obviously they're all gone now. So it's you know there's a lot of and there's also like but does Brad Park get his number retired? So it's a tough one. The fact that it's gone on as long as it has, I wonder if they're going to make that decision or not. And again, that's way past my pay grade. So. But Ron had a great career. Again, watching the old games, man, it was like Gresh did some fantastic things. Rod Duguay was unbelievable early in the '80s there. Like that series, the LA series, the St. Louis, going on that run, my first year in the league. I forgot how good Dukes was everywhere. Like killing penalties, taking faceoffs, offensively, defensively, forechecking. He had this thing too where he would he'd get in the neutral zone and he wouldn't just dump it in. He'd circle around. And you could tell on the road, especially crowds going nuts to get the hair going the whole bit. And you could almost think to yourself, like, come on, right? But he really, that was his thing. Like he was controlling the play. He really, he wasn't being cocky or something about it. He was good. So it's the Thunder in there. Thunder. It's Thursday. We're bringing down some Thunder. I'm a fan since 1972 and I broke my heart trading and Bathke. Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't know much about him, but it seemed like that really like gentleman player too. Like he was a really classy guy. Same as Jean Martel, the hair a little bit. Oh my goodness! Did I just yawn there? Oh. Joey Costa destroyed Mike Eason in a fight in Winnipeg, dropping him. They showed the replay. JD goes, Sam, don't look. Yeah, because Sam, I don't think liked the fighting as much as JD did. It's not that he didn't like it. I think it was more, I think he thought there was probably back then there's too much of it in his mind. So. But the great Sam Rosen. So again, we'll call him and see. He'll feel good about it too. He really will. Genuinely, he'll be very, very happy that the fans are reaching out and asking how he's doing. So it means a lot to him. So obviously, the Ranger guys, he's great too. You go to events sometimes and they have him come there and speak, and he's so classy and handles himself. He's done it so often that it's like he's so smooth and everything. Very good, very good. Jack Smith. What do we got here, Jack? My late dad used to tell me all about the original six. He would say that he was, yeah. Isn't that funny? Like you go back, going up to the 6 teams in the league. Now there's 32. Yeah, I never like to think that there'd be 32 teams. Even when I was playing, there's 21 teams. That's not, well, I guess it is a while ago. But to think that we would get to 32 teams, and we're probably not done yet. They're going to keep going. And there's some people that had worried that this talent level would get watered down. I think it's the opposite. I think the talent level is even better. Like you could look at all the teams this year that were, chances of winning the Stanley Cup. It was legitimately 8 to 10 teams, right? And I know there's a lot of talk to people are saying, they like to change the playoff structure, that the good teams are getting beat out too early. But when you look at the 4 teams that are left over, the 4 of the top teams in the league, it's not like the top teams got beat out early and then you're left with guys that are the scrub teams. These are the 4, you could argue they're the 4 best teams in the league. So people always want to try to change the playoff structure and everything. I don't know. You can overthink it sometimes. Maybe you have some year where, I don't think so. Because you look at all 16 teams that play. Maybe Washington really isn't that good a team anymore, but there's a lot of good teams in the National Hockey League now. A lot of good players. So, Who were my hockey idols growing up? Wow. So my Bobby Orr. It wasn't much that I wanted to be Bobby Orr. It was he changed the game so much. He was such a dominant player. Um, you know, Laurent Barsaming was great. Being the Swedish player, he was like he had backed down to Flyers, but like it's pretty much 20 against one for him. He never backed down a bit. Again, I've said this before too. It's so it's clearly Deb asked me about my hockey idols, but my overall sports idol was that Randy White, that played linebacker, down lineman sometimes too with the Dallas Cowboys, the Manster, half man, half monster. And I didn't understand why at the time, but now that I've learned more about myself, it's just he had this mentality. He just never quit. He's always going, always going. They show some old videos of him where chasing down running backs, even if he had to chase him 40 yards to chase him down and, stop him at the 2-yard line, he would still do it. He had that mentality that he just was, again, I didn't know. And when I watch myself play now in the old games, I joke around about it because I really wasn't that good. The puck's blowing up. It's like a grenade in my stick sometimes. But I knew I was going to make mistakes. So I just never quit. I just go run over somebody after I made a mistake. And it always worked out for me. And that's kind of how life has gone for me too. So let me see. My dad, since 1940, his dad would watch New York Rovers. Oh, okay. Stan Fischler, the great Stan Fischler. We're trying to get a hold of him to get him on the podcast too. Right. So I couldn't walk past the mirror without fixing his hair. Same now. Yeah. He always fix my hair. Yeah. No, I was not a big mirror guy, Ron. If you look at some of the old pictures, you can see that. The third Madison Square Garden up to 1960, before the fourth garden now. Yeah, where was the other gardens? For us guys, like for me, they come here in 1980. All I've ever known is that garden. Well, they've redone it, but as far as moving it around, but it's amazing that they can move a garden. And there's all this talk now too, not a lot of talk, but isn't it that something about taxes or something that the city is trying to? There's a lot of bluffing going on, obviously, about moving the garden again, but they just put billions of dollars into it. I don't think that's going to happen. Johnny Rad. Yeah. Again, the game has changed a lot. Ideally, you would love to have a guy that could do everything, like an old Larry Robinson that could skate the puck out, was big and physical. It's tough to find those guys. Look at Lindgren. So he's the kind of guy you want, like that physical player, but he's not very big. But I love him. I love the way he plays. He's a gritty guy. He does whatever he has to do to help the team win. And then you look at Adam Fox, where he's a smaller guy, but still obviously very successful defenseman because he moves the puck well. So the game has changed. Again, I hear you. And again, the rules have changed too. It's like you can't hook and hold. You can't clear out the front of the net the same way you used to be able to. So those big defensemen, as long as you see, like Condor Miller, he's still going to get better. Like he's a big guy who can skate. I'd like to see him get a little bit nastier. But again, the game has changed so much. It's no, I did not watch the Survivor finale. I just read on USA Today that the finale was last night. I haven't watched as much because they changed the game. It went from like 39 days you're out there to win, and now it's down to 26, I think it is. So, and they changed some of the rules the way you play. It was like I loved playing. It was fantastic. I wasn't a huge fan before. I was a fan, but I didn't watch it all the time. But it's a the people that love it. I mean, it isn't as popular as it once was like 20 years ago, but still it has its solid group of fans. So I have a 2 foot by 4 foot table and ticket stubs from games in the 50s. Oh, very cool. I like that when people do that with their ticket stubs, put it on a table like that. Let's see. This guy, yep. And Stan was good at his job too. We were buddies because playing here for so long and him covering the Rangers so closely. But when I got traded to LA, we had a little snafu where I was delayed by a day to get out to LA, and he ripped me because it's part of the old custom. Like he was big on the old kind of the way the game's supposed to be played, and you handle yourself. Is as soon as you get traded, you get on the plane and go. You don't, as soon as they get arranged for you, maybe you get one night, but then after that you're gone. And I was delayed, more family stuff, and he ripped into me, and he was right. Like from the perception was that I was not doing the right thing. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but he had no problems, even though we were friends, ripping me. It was interesting. We had a few guys like that. I talked about Frank Brown before. Larry Brooks did that. I think really respect that from because you get relationships, especially as a player and then as an agent, you get relationships with the writers, and it's tough for them sometimes. If you do something wrong and you're friends with the guy, they've got a job to do, right? They've got to say something. And I didn't handle it well at first, like with Frank Brown. I sulked for about a month. He ripped me, And he should have. I wasn't playing well for a while, and he finally came to me, to his credit, and said, "Tom, I have to do my job." And then once I started thinking about it later, I realized what a baby I was being. So, let me see here. What another podcast on? If you ever hit a milestone, had a reunion show, you would invite the show for all the past guests. Who do you invite? If you ever heard a milestone, so we've just finished 100. I think we posted. I know we just recorded our 100. I think it was posted yesterday. If you ever hit a milestone and had a reunion, who would you invite for the show for all-time podcast? Oh, wow. That's a great question. We've had some good guys. You know, there's a devil, too, and I can't remember his name. Right shot guy. Oh, he was in the Skating with the Stars or something like that. I can't remember. He was really funny. Rich Pilon and Mick Vakota were hilarious together. And again, we talked about this where I've learned now, as soon as they come on, I record right away. In the past, what I've been doing is we chat for a little bit, say hello, and all that kind of stuff. But when you get two guys that have played together and they're really personalities like them, we start recording right away because when they haven't seen each other for a while and then they get on, it was hilarious. Real funny guys. And again, I've learned to not call them before the show, to wait, especially guys that I have played with and got old stories about. We wait. The Dave Silk was a great example. We were crying laughing at some of the stuff that we've done. And I called him before. It was still okay on the show, but it was probably better when I called him. It was really funny if somebody would listen to that. So we learned to not call him. So let me see here. Stan is such a nice guy, though, who covered the Whalers. Gave Stan, cousin Diane, called Stan. He's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, a lot of good guys. You think about the Kenny Alberts and Sam Rose and Stan Fishlers and those guys. Good guys. You saw that already. Sorry. Elaine from Survivor. I should get her on the podcast. I'm sure you guys were. We did a podcast together for a couple of months, and she was getting married. It was during COVID, and we were funny going back and forth. And she doubted whether I was coming. And her fiance had called and wanted me to make a speech at the wedding, the whole bit. And I was going. I had my tickets, the hotel, rented the car, the whole bit. But then I didn't realize that Kentucky, where she is one. Is it Kentucky? Yeah. Was one of the states that if I went there and came back, I was going to have to quarantine for two weeks. And I couldn't quarantine because I was out doing stuff, like going to the gym and everything. So I had to call and cancel 5 days before. She didn't believe me. She thought I was never coming, that I was just playing games with her. So she was legitimately mad. And I just kept saying to her, Elaine, I'll show you the plane tickets. I showed her all the plane tickets and hotel reservations, a whole bit. But she didn't. And I understand. It was a big moment. She was getting married. And we got to be pretty close out on the show and doing the podcast. So she was upset. So we did a few podcasts after, but man, she was ripping into me in the podcast. She's a tough one. The third garden was at 49th, 50th. Oh yeah. Fans came out and watched it. And how Richie met the cat, Joey Millen. Oh, that's saying, oh, okay. Oh, you like that? A lot of people, yes, I saw that he was one of the most popular shows that we did, Pierre Lariche. He's got quite the personality of it too, and again, he hasn't really been, especially in New York, hasn't really been seen from or heard from very much. He's pretty big in Pittsburgh there. It was great to see him when we went in. I guess that's when they flew us in for a playoff game, but with some fans. And so I went over. He was in Mary Lemieux's suite, so I went over to say hello to him. What a great guy! We'd spent some time together, quite a bit of time together. He actually stayed with me for a while during training camp, so we got pretty close. So we saw each other. It's like the big hug and everything. To all like go each other. It's pretty cool. When you haven't seen the guy for so long, and had some good memories. Whatever. But he's a good player too, man. He was a funny guy, like happy-go-lucky and all that. When it came to time to play the game, man, he was a competitor. Like in a different way. He wasn't banging or punching guys or anything like that, but he was like, this time, like he knew his job. So he had the old line, I think is when he was Pittsburgh or Montreal, and he wasn't known as a great defensive player. I didn't think he was that bad, but it wasn't his strength. He was a great goal scorer. So somebody asked him about his back checking, and he said, listen, they're paying me $250,000 a year to score goals. If they want me to back check, they can pay me another $250,000 a year. So, I think I've said it that way over the years. I think he corrected me that he said it slightly different, but basically that was the message he was sending. And so he had that. You could almost argue that was a little cocky kind of thing, but it was a good cocky. Like he believed in himself. So Joey Mullen had two older brothers named Tom and Ken, and they were good hockey players, but I had the time in New York City. Joe, Brian got the chance. They never did. Their dad, Tom, worked. And Joe Mullen, when I first came to the Rangers, Brian Mullen, excuse me, he was a stick boy for the visiting team, right? For the visiting team? Yeah. And then he went off to University of Wisconsin and had a great career. So my twin. Where was it the other day that somebody was calling me Brian? They didn't believe that I wasn't Brian Mullen. They thought I was Brian Mullen. So, you know what's fun? Have we had a show since? I don't think we'd have, because last Thursday was the viewing party. That's right. So the viewing party was a blast at the Garden. You know, it was a great idea too, because there's so many people there. They had us up in the corridors there signing autographs, and a lot of people coming up and saying how great it was because they loved the Rangers. They just couldn't afford to come to the game, so there it was like $10 to get in, and they really did a good job. They lowered the screen down. They did the best to make it look like it was like a real game. And then apparently I left and came home for the third period, and apparently they're all throwing. I saw videos of them people throwing hats on the ice like it's a real game. But it was good. They had the lower bowl all packed, and they had Gresh and I, Brian Mullen, Colton Orr was there, signing autographs. They had the big letters there, "No Quit New York." They had us get pictures taken. So it was quite. It was good. Rangers do some fantastic stuff, like really creative stuff that a lot of fun. And I know other people have done viewing parties in their home building, but let me see here. I love the next door up here. Donuts. Oh yeah. Nikki was funny. Nikki Fatiu. He's a good practical joker. He taught me a lot of stuff, like the baby powder, the hair dryer, and all that. Oh, how about the other day? I posted a video. I don't know where he got it. My ego would like to tell me that he got it from us, but what's his name? Marc-Andre Fleury. I believe it was when he was in Pittsburgh. Or I can't remember where it was, but it was recently. It looked like it was recently. So it couldn't be Pittsburgh. I think it was more recent than that in his career there. He and another guy got into the hotel room and moved all the furniture out into the hallway. And so that was, I told the story. So that was when I was in LA, Bob Bourne and I were rooming together. We were smart asses. We were doing practical jokes all the time. And I found out recently from Jimmy Fox that it was Bernie Nichols, which didn't surprise me. So Bernie Nichols and some other guys broke into our room when we were gone. We'd have a few beers after a game. So we come back to the hotel and they've got it wasn't the hallway. It was more a setup where all the rooms were like around this big lobby. And so they had our room set up perfectly out in the lobby, the flowers, the lamps, the whole bit out in the lobby. So we come home at 2 or 3 in the morning, we're feeling pretty good. And we would say, okay, let's just go to bed. But the security gave up, would let us move the furniture back inside. But that's a good joke. It's one of those jokes. It's a great one because you have to put some work into it. It's just not that quick little practical joke. Yeah. So, but they got it from us. There's no question. They're probably watching. Marc-Andre Fleury's probably watching the show secretly. And he said, "I'm going to do what Tom said." Yeah. I would love to play with him. From the way it sounds, that he's a fantastic competitor, but just a funny guy, having fun all the time. Let me see. Yeah, I saw that with the hat trick, and I wonder if Tom was ever in the Garden. Glad you guys were there. How's Gresh and Larry doing? I've not talked to Larry in a while. Gresh is doing okay. He's, he's losing some weight. He needed to lose some weight. And he part of it is just learning the foods to eat and not eat for him too. So, which is just, listen, we're all proud men too, right? And it's hard to accept help sometimes. But we've been talking a few times recently about, the foods to eat and everything. And again, it's just an education process, understanding what foods are good and bad for you. Like sometimes people say, well, I'm not overweight, but so I can eat hot dogs. Well, it's not something, again, those things, it isn't about being overweight. It's about what you're doing to your insides, especially if you've had heart conditions like he has. We had a heart attack and open heart surgery. The hot dogs are like, clogging up the arteries. So we got a good friend of ours, that Joe Ruggiero, hope I'm saying that right. We used to joke around with him. Because he would talk about eating, sausage at 2:00 in the morning, and I would tell him, I said, "Well, you might as well just put it in the blender, put it inside a syringe, and just shoot it right into your veins because it's going to clog up your arteries." Well, unfortunately, probably like 2 months ago, he had a heart attack, and he called me up. I felt terrible because I'm predicting he get a heart attack, but he says, "Well, you told me, Tom, that it's going to happen." So, and it won't always happen. You never know when it's going to happen too. Let me see here. Tom Bush never mentioned how great he played on the Ford Cup. Oh no, he was good. Yeah, well, it's a good point though. But the problem is there's so many great players on that team. You take Trottier and Bossy, and Gillies and Nystrom and Tonelli, Potvin, Morrow, all those guys. So yeah, Billy Smith and net. But Bourne was, man, he was hard to play. He's a big guy. He could fly too. Just like if he got wide on you, you're in trouble. Like he winded up in his own end. There's a few videos you see of that him doing that, and he did it. Great player, good tough guy too. really good team player. Yeah, it was great to play. We roomed together. Obviously, we roomed together, and so it was funny how him and I never went out as much. It was more myself and Tonelli. We were always like cross checking and spearing, and he got like I'd knock him down or something. He just here he comes. He's coming now, and we all got to be good friends. So Bourne and Tonelli were in LA at the same time, but I got to be good friends with Bob Bourne, and I got to be good friends with John Tonelli. It's funny, his mother-in-law lives right across, like right beside Gratiot, right across from where I live in the condominium complex. So sweet person. And her and her husband, they're getting older now. So I go over in the snow and I clean out the cars, and she's so sweet. She's like, "Oh, we just love you so much," and everything. So I called John and I said, "Your mother-in-law likes me better than you." So did Gresh get the air fryer? You know what? I can't remember how that happened. Remember, was he saying he was going to get it, or it was the juicer that he was. I think he got the air fryer. I think it was the juicer was the one that was in debate, right? He said he got it, and they broke or whatever. So that's right, because when he got the juicer, he said he's going to put potatoes in there. I think he was really being serious. He did realize well. So we kept joking that he's making vodka with this juicer. But he's getting better at this. He just, again, it's an education thing. Part of his part too, as you get older, he can't get bad hips and everything. It's harder to exercise. So he's still there. I was in Publix yesterday, and they had a big sale on Nathan's hot dogs. Yeah, that is one of my pet peeves, as you know. Like we have a National Hot Dog Day. Imagine we'll have National Cigarette Day. I see all this like hot dogs at schools and all this kind of stuff. It's terrible food for you. It's poison. It'll clog your arteries. I was reading an article about Japan, I believe, where so they say the obesity rates is like 4% of people in Japan. We're here in the U.S. Some people say it's higher, but like at least 50% of people in our country are obese. And that's a big difference for a country. And again, I'm using rounder numbers, but it's just so much. And they were talking about how they'd ask kids what their favorite food was, and one girl would go asparagus, and the other one would go white rice, like all healthy foods. And when they went and asked the people in Japan, why are the kids picking these foods as healthy? And Japanese people couldn't understand why we even asked the question. Like the scientists had gone over there to study things, whatever. And like, why are you asking that question? And basically what they did was they would teach the kids to like healthy foods. So now in our system, like you look at TV all the time, it's McDonald's, like greasy cheeseburgers and French fries. And we've talked about this before. It's, some people think it's a conspiracy theory. A lot of people don't. I think it's just fact that the people that own the pharmaceutical companies and media outlets and fast food restaurants, they want us unhealthy. We don't make them money if we're all healthy people, right? They make money off us being unhealthy and eating bad foods. But it's just interesting that the Japanese people had, taught the kids to like healthy foods, and it showed up in the obesity rates. I thought that was interesting. Yeah. It is interesting how you battle guys, and then when you play together, you usually end up being like friends. Very cool. My bad juicer. Oh, no problem there, Jack. No problem at all. I remember there's a time that I was questioning whether he ever really got one. He claims he got one and it broke. I don't know why but he talks about now he's buying more. He's talking about doing the juicing, but not with the juicer. You can buy them at the store. I think Whole Foods does that a lot. They have those little shots of juicers. Actually, I'm gonna get this. Oh, not there. My car again. Now I think I need a new transmission. It was making this funny noise there for a while. And the mechanic couldn't figure out what it was. And it stopped. All of a sudden stopped. Then the other day, did it again. And seems like something's stuck in there. Something, a piece of metal. It's making this kind of do. So I haven't I've got to do DoorDash, I guess, or whatever it is, or Instacart. I need some ginger. Got to make some ginger with my turmeric. Very healthy for you. So ginger's a really good anti-inflammatory. Actually, you can get pill form. Costco has it. It's a pill form. Then the turmeric is turmeric is an anti-inflammatory. The ginger is good for your immune system. So I have been doing a shot of that every day. Last couple of days I didn't have it, so I'm gonna get back on that. Japanese guy who used to eat all that and eat hot dogs on. He's very sick now. I read. We just as a guy also. That's yeah. And it's like celebrating eating hot dogs. I get it. I know it's like a national pastime and all that, but that's sort of like we've got to, we really have a lot of work to do on. And I want to be careful because I'm not criticizing people for their weight or anything. It's their health. And it's the promotion of the foods like hot dogs and everything too. But it's not limited to hot dogs. I mean, even places like these fast food restaurants, if you really do your homework on foods and study like the French fries at McDonald's, for example, we've talked about this where they only want like the long russet potatoes, the way it looks sticking out of the little box there and everything, and they don't want any brown marks. And sometimes you get potatoes and they get little brown marks, and it doesn't mean they're bad; it's just little brown marks. So they have the story is, assuming this is true, they have the farmers spray the potatoes out in the field with these chemicals that make sure that brown, there's a term for the brown stuff in the potatoes, to make sure that doesn't happen. But the story is that the farmers have to stay inside for 5 days after they spray because the chemicals are so nasty. And then once they pick the potatoes and put it in the barn, they've got to have it in a ventilated barn for, I can't remember how many days it was before they can sell it. So obviously you're not getting rid of all the chemicals. So what was the other one too? Hold on here. This question on Nikki. Shoot, at the end of the podcast, Trevor goes, praise Nikki coaching. Yeah. Nikki really had a big impact on a lot of people in coaching. Yeah. Nikki's got quite the personality. Everybody loves him. What was I reading? I was reading the other day about Singapore. I'm really into like Singapore, Thailand, the Philippines. All that. Singapore, supposedly, they don't have any garbage. They burn all the garbage. They burn garbage constantly, 365 days a year, 24/7, and they filter it all so that the emissions that come out is all clean. And they take the heat from the burning of the garbage to make electricity for the town. So like, there's no garbage, there's no dumps or anything like that. It's all clean. Like, why don't we do that? The technology is there to do that. So, but interesting. Studying. So I've got this thing now, studying more. Like I tell you, the whole cannabis and psilocybin world really got to, since we did the show with Riley Cote and then Ryan Vanderbush was the same way. It's really been interesting to me. It's a whole lifestyle too. Particularly the whole psilocybin world, talking about what happens to us after we die, or do we die, and all this kind of stuff. And I know people have different beliefs, and I don't want to sway other people and respect everybody for their beliefs. But it's just interesting learning new philosophies about. I had done a podcast with a young woman that I met at the gym years ago. She was really into Johanna. I can't remember her last name. Gutierrez, I think it is, something like that. Beautiful young woman. She's really into yoga. And I always looked at yoga as just the stretching part of it. She explained to me all about the whole lifestyle where, again, their belief is in a lot of cases that you go off as a spirit in the afterlife, that you never really die. Our form of what we are right now is we know is a body on earth, but that's just what we believe because that's what we see. That they believe that there's a whole other spirits out there. You may not be anything other than a spirit, or you may come back in some other form. It's really interesting, and I've really been studying them more. And they have this thing that they call channeling. That I guess it's basically being a soothsayer, where you're talking to people like maybe your deceased relatives or something, and they're explaining to them that I'm not really deceased, I just moved on someplace else. So it's interesting. I'm really learning about it, so it's pretty cool. There's some other guys I won't mention their names that are really getting into it deep now too, that friends of mine, and we've had some phone calls where it's been pretty deep, some of the stuff that they're getting into. So just interesting. That's one thing I've learned with this whole journey of me for True Good Life, is keep on learning new things and not be closed-minded to other people's philosophies. Even if you ultimately, take a shot at what they believe. I said before, I met this wonderful woman. She was a devout Christian. So I thought, I'll get to learn that a little bit. It just it didn't do it for me. It doesn't mean she was wrong. She believed in it totally. So I think that's the key to it. And I also learned too, so like sometimes you say, well, like at school, especially, where you say, well, why am I taking algebra, for example? I'll never learn algebra, or I'll never have to use it anywhere. And it was really interesting having a scientist discuss how, but it doesn't matter if you ever use the algebra again. It's you've trained your mind to learn something new. And I think that's for me. I don't think I was doing that for many years. And it's just like since I started all this True Good Life, I've done that more, just learn new things. Especially all the technology out there. It's not hard to learn. Like I talked so many times about that Google thing where I can talk to it, and that's the lazy way to do it. But you still learn. If you have a question, like go find out the answer to it. And it's been cool. Let me see. Tom, have you seen Biden? Well, I know he does Boomer's. Man, I think Boomer's being careful too. Boomer Science there, there's a buddy of mine. But yeah, I think his whole view on politics, like especially New York State politics where he lives, is not too great. But again, I really think he's being careful. I don't think he really lets go as much as he really wants to. Yeah, I've talked about it before, and for me, it's not a criticism of Biden as a president. To me, the people like his family that allow him to go up on the stage like that, he's clearly ill, and not be mean towards him. My father had dementia when he passed away, so people with mental health issues, you just can't be mean towards them, but you don't display them out in public. That's my view on it. But obviously, it's politics and a lot of money at stake, and so yeah. Yeah, Boomer is funny. So everybody doesn't know Boomer Esiason is a former NFL player. Him and Gio, I can't remember Gio's last name. They have a morning show that's simulcast on CBS Sports and WFAN radio here locally, and they're hilarious too. I tell you, if people haven't listened to them, it's the whole crew too. It's Jerry Recco, Al Hughes, and Eddie Scazzeri. So they're all together. So Al is more the producer, I guess. Jerry is like he reads the updates. And then Eddie Scazzeri runs the board, for all the, and he is he was on a roll there this morning where he gets all these old comments that were made from years ago, and he keeps them, stores them in the computer, and then he knows where they are. There's some code he uses, whatever. So at the most inappropriate times, he pulls up these quotes, these clips from he'll have Boomer say something, and it'll sound like Boomer actually said it then, but it was from years ago, and it's totally out of context. like if they're ever interviewing a woman. And Boomer's asking her questions, Eddie will drop in. They call it the drops, right? Yeah, he'll drop in nice jugs, and it'll sound like the girl doesn't know that Boomer's not really saying it. He said it years ago. It is hilarious when they get on a roll and do that. Like Eddie gets going on a roll, they'll let him just go for 5 minutes of these drops, and it's just hilarious the way he puts them all together. And so it's good. And Gio's very good. He now, I think he's a little bit intimidated by Boomer, because he's a pro athlete, big guy, big personality, but he's gotten better now of fighting back with Boomer, and they go at it pretty good. I think, and Boomer's good to get stir in the pot too. Like he'll take a stand on something just to take the stand. I was a little critical, and I texted Boomer too. Gio was the other day when the golfer got arrested, and Gio, I don't think he understood fully how he was sounding. Maybe he did. Maybe he was taking a stand that, because he wanted to take a stand that would be controversial, but he was taking a stand that, it is terrible that they put him in the orange jumpsuit when he's a professional golfer. Well, and I was like, I thought it sounded kind of bad. It's like, okay, it wouldn't really matter if he's a golfer or not. If he did something wrong, he did something wrong. Ken R1, Ken R, he's a pirate. Ken R1, Ken R. Gio is a genius, is doing the Mad Dog. Oh, yeah. Great impressions. You're right. Good point. Joe Menino. Yeah. Oh, I know. Right. Oh, he's funny. He's good with the impressions. And when he gets going, he's good. He's really good with Mike Francesa. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. They're a good team together. Like they're still good. But when they're separate, like sometimes Boomer will miss or whatever, or somebody's sick or Jerry will be out or doing stuff. But when they're all together, it's still good when they're not all together. But man, I agree with you, Jack. When Gio does the Mad Dog or Mike Francesa, Joe Benigno, he's good at doing it. But the things he actually says too, oh God! And they've got this. They're selling one of their sponsors, the ball sack or the underwear with the ball sack in it. And he has to read the advertisement about the ball sack, and he can tell he just loves to say it. Keep your balls, and we're sweating the whole bit. Oh God, they're funny. They've got some big thing tomorrow going on down in New Jersey, I think, right? It's a break out to summer. Oh man, they've got these little things that they go back to all the time, and just hilarious. Love listening to them. Yeah. It's funny because a lot of people go, a lot of Boomer's friends go, I don't listen to you, whatever. I'm always texting them all the time during the show, giving them a hard time. Like they're pushing Ritz crackers the other day, and I said to him, Ritz crackers are poison. They're banned in most other countries. And he said that on the air. He says, "Oh, Tom Laidlaw's ripping into me. He won't let me eat Ritz crackers." He was joking when he's saying it, but and then Gio thinks I'm a nutcase because I get up at 3:30 all the time and everything. He said that in the show a few times. He says that guy's a maniac. And he says Tom Laidlaw's an ingredient guy, because I guess Al Hughes now is an ingredient guy too. So they gave him a hard time. So funny stuff. They're good. All right, everybody. So the Rangers play again tomorrow night. They will be better, but they've got to come out and play right from the start. They got to be moving their feet. It's just that overall, sharper. Like they just got to, get in. It's a mental part of the game too. Then I watch them on CBS and see them. It's much better than fancy. Yeah, that's true. It is great to watch it. Yeah, I'm usually moving around doing something, so I'm listening to them on. Is it Odyssey? You should be the Odyssey app. But they're funny. Yeah, I really look forward to it. Like I for whatever reason I'm busy. Like they start at 6:00 in the morning, and I get mad at myself when I miss them because they're, especially the mornings after like a Ranger game, because they're bugging Boomer all the time because he's a huge Ranger fan, season ticket holder, been a fan of the team for years, and they don't like him talking about hockey. They don't think hockey's a big draw, and I guess it's not as big as football and baseball and that. So they always make fun of him. They've got one of Eddie's drops is nobody likes hockey, Boomer. Nobody likes hockey, and Boomer's good at making it sound like he's kind of really mad about it, but. Scotty Scheffler was the golfer. That's right. So I guess Gio was saying what a great guy he was, and I hope he wouldn't do that wrong. So I guess all the charges were dropped against him, anyways. But it's one of those things that unfortunately, somebody had been killed, got hit by one of those buses going in, and so it's a crime scene. So the police are all there, and I'm assuming Scotty Scheffler didn't know somebody had been killed. I don't know all the details, but he was trying to go around the traffic, and the police officer was a little upset with him. So there was a story I saw, and I don't know if it was true or not. I don't think it was, but somebody put a story together where it's saying that the police officer had a bet for somebody else, so he wanted to get Scheffler out of there so he wouldn't. I don't know how true it was, but you know what they're doing too, that Eddie Schizzeri does on the show. He uses that AI, the artificial intelligence now. Like he had one today of the voice of Donald Trump saying that his running mate was going to be Al Hughes. For the show, and when he started it, Gio stopped. As soon as he started, it seemed like it was perfectly real. And then obviously we knew it was going to have Al Hughes as his running mate, but it was they do that a few times with this AI stuff. And I tell you, that's what you got to be careful of when you get on Reels and everything to find out what's real and what isn't real on Reels. Jack Smith, I DVD them every day. Yeah, great show. I really recommend. If they're funny, informative, they're really good at having opinions too. They understand. They listen just to agree with each other. People don't care about that. They want to see what their opinions are and stuff. And they're very opinionated on everything. And Jerry Recco is kind of they paint the picture that he's kind of the real negative guy. Like he says, the world sucks. Everybody sucks. You know. I think he's kind of like that, but they really promote that fact that he's like that. So they're good. Well done. All right, everybody, we're closing in on an hour here. China. Yes. Oh God, Jack. Oh, you're good. Bring that up. Trump was quoted as at any places. China, vagina. And you know what is what's funny about it too, Jack? I'm sure you'd agree. It's like it's so childish sometimes. That's why it's so funny, right? It's like grown adults, some of the things they're doing, and you can tell too. Like there's sometimes they're laughing so hard there's just silence. I'm sure the bosses must have meetings with them sometimes, saying, "Listen, guys, you got to be careful." And I think that's why it's even more funny. That's the sense I get, like especially with the stuff that Eddie does. And Eddie's just really, they give him a hard time because he's a really intelligent guy. And actually, Gio does a good imitation of Eddie too. Like he's got this voice, like he's a sophisticated guy. I'm a sophisticated man. And they kind of laugh because he's so intelligent and he knows he is, but he's a board operator on the radio station. Nothing wrong with that. But it's almost like they think he's like, they go to him all the time for serious questions on stuff. And he like the universe and everything. He's always got the answers to it. And so he's really, and then him and his wife do this yarn business, I guess, and they're always talking about that. So that is true. Like Gio does his voice, like he imitates him. I'm smarter than you are. Oh man, that's funny. Oh, I'm smarter than you are. That's pretty close to what he sounds like. I've never tried to do imitations. Brian Boucher, who I represented, he's fantastic. He's on. You guys, I'll see him on hockey games. There's some that he doesn't like to do publicly. The Dominic Hasek one is incredible. He does Ray Ferraro. So he's careful with the Ray Ferraro one because he wants he has to work, co-worker, so to speak. And Ray's got a little bit of a lisp. And Boosh, when he does his imitation, can use the lisp and everything. You would think you were talking to Ray Ferraro, but he doesn't. He feels like, oh God, is that insulting to Ray Ferraro? I said to him, no, he's on TV. It's like, he can't pass it out. But I told the story about Brad Boucher. So when he was playing in Philadelphia, having a great run there, we were redoing his contract, and there was a reporter working for the Philadelphia Inquirer, I believe, Tim Panaccio, good guy. We got to be close. And he would always call me for updates on negotiation. And, I was careful with him. I really didn't know him that well. So it wasn't like I was open up telling him. So I kind of gave him my agent speak. And I was going to see Bush up in Rhode Island, and I'm driving, and he calls me on the cell phone, and he's doing the Tim Panaccio imitation. And he had it. I was totally believing that it was Tim Panaccio. I had no thought in my mind that wasn't him. So he's asking me questions about negotiation. Bush is doing this like as a joke, and he's asking me questions, and I'm being very careful. And Bush stops. He goes, "Tom, this is Bush, right? This isn't Tim Panaccio." Now I didn't believe him. I'm thinking Tim Panaccio was trying to pull a fast one on me, trying to get me to say something I shouldn't. So I said, I can't remember what I said, but I said, "Okay, I'm going to call you back." So I called Bush's number, and it's Bush, and he is crying, laughing because he didn't realize he got me, and he totally got me. So he's good at it. Bush, good guy, great personality. He's careful. His personality comes out when he's doing the broadcasting, but there's more of a personality there too. Like if they really let him go, like it was an X-rated show or whatever, he's hilarious. Great. Like he gets into the Dominic Hasek thing. Like seriously, you'd think you're talking to Dominic Hasek if you were to put them together. So it's good. Let me see here. I'm 62 boomers. We have the same humor. Yeah. Yeah. You're funny. I do they're serious sometimes when they have to be, but I'll tell you, when they get going like the little kids giggling, laughing a whole bit. Oh man. I'll have to answer Boomer's brutal with his humor. Yeah. And again, like his political stance and all that. I try to get him going. So there's a charity game for, I can't remember the young boy's name. He got paralyzed playing hockey down in Jersey. And I don't know if they're doing it now because of the pandemic, but they're always having like a charity game every year. So, Boomer always wants to be very organized. He talks about it. So he was at a group text where he's texting a whole bunch of us that were playing in the charity game, former NHL players and everything. So I would do things like and there was no limos involved. We were getting there himself, which is fine. So he's texting everybody. So I texted the group text. I said, Boomer, what time is the limo picking me up? Like, and being serious. So the other guys are saying, well, Laidlaw's getting the limo. When we get it. And so I would do something like that. And he'd get mad. He'd shut the F up, Laidlaw. So he's funny to get going. It was a big thing when he was doing the show with Craig Carton. Craig would tease him about being in love with Brad Richards. So Brad Richards was playing in the charity game, and Boomer's like his Wasp hockey team, the guys he plays with, they were playing in the game as well. Now there's kind of like a certain protocol there. They don't give Boomer a hard time at all. You can see that they're fun with him and everything. So I was just giving it to Boomer, bro. Brad Richards in the locker room. The other guys in the Wasp team are going, keep going, Tommy, and. Boomer's it's funny first, and then Boomer's getting pissed, which made it even funnier. So, but good stuff. All right, everybody. So everybody have a fantastic weekend. I get going here. Boomer's hockey team. How was Boomer's hockey team recently? It was up. Yeah, I can't remember I think they won or something. I remember him talking about that. I used to call him John Belliveau. Like he's not a very smooth guy in his big. And I don't know if he realized, he knows it now, but he's funny. All right, everybody, let's have a fantastic weekend. Again, the 988 hotline for suicide prevention and mental health. That's really, the more stuff I do, the more I'm seeing out there. We did an event up in Norwalk, school up there last weekend on Saturday, and talking to a lot of people that are up there, teachers and everything. And it's just interesting. The people that are boots on the ground, they're saying this, Tom, the mental health around is everywhere. It's just for adults, kids. It's far worse than we really know, I think. So let's make sure we're really helping everybody else. There's a shoulder check movement that we got going. Fantastic family up in Darien, Connecticut. You can get that all online. But again, just make sure we're helping each other as much as possible. Don't just assume that everybody's okay. Really go out of your way to ask them if they're okay. Even the people you don't know. It was interesting. I had a conversation with women too, and it's kind of a debate. And it was interesting to hear her take on it. Sometimes if you think somebody could potentially hurt themselves, do you come right out to the person to say, are you thinking of hurting yourself? And there's a lot of people that say, well, yes, you should. Other people say, well, it's easier. Now you're kind of planting the seed. She was saying that it's okay to go there, but you need to have a conversation first. Like, hey, this is who I am, or don't know the person really that well. And then eventually get to that, but don't jump right to that and say, that was her opinion. I thought that was very interesting, but there's a lot of things we can do to help each other out. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Have some fun. Looks like our storm has passed here. And the Rangers tomorrow night. Let's go. Good luck to them. And we will see everybody next Monday. Mark Putnick and I will be doing a show. So again, it looks like the show with Molly that we started 2 o'clock on Fridays. It's not going to happen. It's just her time schedule. So we'll maybe get her back on, but it's still Mark and I will be doing the show on Monday at 11 o'clock. So everybody have a fantastic weekend.